a fully remastered version of Street Fighter 2 for the Sega Genesis and Sega Mega Drive. We're going to be taking a look at a mod for the Sega Genesis version of Street Fighter 2 that brings it so close to the arcade version of the game. My name's Mike, and this is the Retro Gamer Boy Show. Welcome back to the Retro Gamer Boy Show. Now, the remaster we're going to be taking a look at today for Street Fighter 2 came out about a year and a half ago, so some of you may already know about it, but if you don't, then you're in for a real treat. Now make sure you drop down into the comments section and click on all the other buttons around here. Let us know what your favourite memories of Street Fighter 2 were on the Sega Mega Drive or any console. Street Fighter 2 Remaster is the brainchild of Pyron. He, along with a few others, are responsible for some of the most impressive mods and ROM hacks available for the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. Now, if you had Street Fighter 2 back in the day on your Sega Genesis or Sega Mega Drive, you didn't care if it had a few less colours, ran at a lower frame rate. This was Street Fighter. Street Fighter 2 that you played in the arcades was now in your house. Now, Street Fighter on the Mega Drive was a combination of two game modes, or two versions of Street Fighter. We had Championship Edition and Hyper Fighter, and the game modes from both were brought in to Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition on the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive. Championship Edition also had the added benefit of a new game mode, Group Battle Mode. This was something unique to the Sega Mega Drive. Now, whilst we had all these awesome new game experiences in Street Fighter that were unique to our Sega 16-bit console, it was lacking in some areas. The game had an accelerated development cycle, which means corners had to be cut, and they were mostly cut from the backgrounds. Poor colour palette choices, reduction in some of the sprite work, and even some of the characters were a little bit off. And this is where the remaster comes in, because this remaster has been in development for 4-5 years and has produced some absolutely stunning results that bring our version of Street Fighter that we remember as kids on the Sega Mega Drive up to something closer that you would have found in the arcades. So let's quickly go through the change notes that we've got with the remaster, then we'll do some comparison shots where we look at the backgrounds, we'll look at the characters, and we'll look at other elements of the games that have changed with the remaster, and then we might even do a bit of a comparison between the Mega Drive and SNES. I know how you guys love to compare Mega Drive against SNES, and we'll see how good this remaster stands up to the absolutely fantastic port onto the Super Nintendo. So in the change notes, we've got a new HUD, new text and improvements to fonts. We've got a new player selection map. The player mini portraits have been updated with more shading and detail. The Blanka mini portrait was also changed to the arcade version. All the regular portraits were updated with more colours and details. Balrog references to Mike Tyson's have been restored, including new colours based on this era of the fighter. Bison's portrait has been restored so it's like the arcade version. All animation frames have been revised, giving them more movement and restoring some of the details that were omitted from the original Street Fighter on the Mega Drive. All characters have gained new alternative colours in the Turbo version. Chun-Li has new winning sprites. Guile's Sonic Boom has been updated to closer resemble the Super Street Fighter version. All scenarios have been redone with new art, more objects, animation, and even more colours on screen. All endings have been revised and now much closer to the arcade version. There's a bug fix in Turbo for M. Bison's Light Psycho Crusher. They've fixed an incorrect charge time that was assigned to Turbo Guile's Sonic Boom. And there's a fix for the damage value on Dalsim's Yoga Noogie Grab. They've also removed the console censorship that was on the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis version. So the intro here is a great example of what the mod, this ROM hack, does to the original Street Fighter Championship Edition on the Sega Mega Drive. The first thing that we'll notice is that there's been a drastic improvement in the tonal colours of the characters here. You can see on the remaster version there, everything's a lot lighter. The colours feel a lot more true to what you would have found in the arcade. If we zoom in here and just focus in on the character, again, you can see he looks like Data out of Star Trek Next Generation in the old one, but in the new remastered version, a lot cleaner. So let's take a look at the only street in Street Fighter. This is Chun-Li's level, one of my all-time favourites. Now looking at this, you would have thought that's the original, that's how you remember it, but no, as we swipe across, you can see that the level is almost completely devoid of colour. very bland, very desaturated. And the remastered version here adds a ton more color into it, but also does a load of pixel work on there. You can see this guy in the background here on his bike. There's like a drum or something that's next to him there. The signs and posters have been reworked. The characters have had some reworking on them. As we move over to the side here, you can see that the contrast colors have been improved. The shop on the side here has had some pixel reworking done on it. And overall, it's a lot clearer, a lot brighter, a lot closer to the arcade version. And this is what they've done here. They've gone in, they've looked at the arcade version, they've made the changes to bring it closer and more in line with the actual arcade version. There's so much color coming out in this, and it makes me wonder why they just didn't do this in the first place. Well, we know why they didn't do it in the first place. It was a rush job to get it out on time. But you can see when you put a little bit of attention, pay the Mega Drive a little bit more TLC, you can get some fantastic colors out of it. How impressive is that? That level looks completely different. It's amazing. It doesn't look like a Mega Drive game at all. The amount of attention to detail that's been put into this remaster is absolutely fantastic. Right, let's take a look at a few more levels, we'll look at some characters, and then we'll look at some OSD work as well. This level is another favourite of mine, Guile's level, absolutely loved it. I remember it completely different. I remember it like it is in the remaster version, but obviously you look back at the Mega Drive version here, and it's devoid of colour again. There's no background in there, it's dark, it's a bit dingy, but look at the difference here. And you've even got extra pixel art in. Again, you've got the radio there on the right hand side. That's from the arcade. You don't have that in the original Mega Drive version. Also, the tail of the fighter jet here is Cap 64. That should be Cap 512. And that has been remedied in the remastered version as well. Everything from the ground textures to the backgrounds to the characters in the background, they've all had a reworking here. And again, as we kind of wipe over and have a look at the remastered version versus the normal version, you can see the symbol on the bottom of the floor has been changed, the fence being reduced, the signs being redone on that, the box has been reworked. It's just a complete reworking of this level, and it looks so amazing. So the Las Vegas level, this is Balrog's level, or M. Bison, depending on where you are in the world. This has a great example of just upping the vibrance of this overall level, and the saturation levels being kind of decreased to give us a little bit more detail. We can see the Las Vegas sign is a lot brighter. We can see the detail on the London cabs on either side here. You can actually see that they're not losing all of that panel detail there. You can see this character, the orange character to the left of the guy that's doing the kind of boxing motion. He's had a rework as well. You can see they've added color, they've lightened him up, and there's some detail added into this level, not too much. The stars in the upper kind of right hand corner just above the building, that's had some work done on that, and again, the stars and the background images on the back have just been brought up a little bit more. And you can see there's a big difference in the saturation level of this entire level. It feels a lot brighter, a lot lighter, a lot more kind of like you would have got on the arcade version. This level has had a huge amount of work done to it. I love how it looks. Look how dirty and just devoid of any detail we have here on the Mega Drive version. The guy that's punching up in the middle here, that panel to the side of him has actually got detail in it now. All the rust and degradation that's happening around the windows there. The background has had the biggest rework in there. You've got the island back in there as well. And look at those kind of mooring kind of steel things at the front there. In the Mega Drive version, they're all tilted and broken. Whereas in the remastered version, they've been corrected and they actually look like they do in the arcade version. And as we flick between the two images here, you can see how much of a difference the background has had and also the foreground elements. Just a quick look here at M. Bison's level, huge amount of work done. Look at those background, the amount of detail being added and the reworking on the sprites of the background there. Absolutely fantastic. Staying with the foreground, we got a bit of blue coming in there from the sky on the stonework, whereas that was grey before. And some of the characters have been reworked and improved in the background. Onto characters. Zangief has been lightened up, and this is across the board. They've all had a bit of a saturation change, and there's been highlights added across the characters. One of my favourite reworks here is Guile. The work that's been done on his face, some of the highlighting that's been done on his shoes and his trousers, and it looks like there's been a little bit more animation added to his facial expressions, or at least they've been over exaggerated. And again, it's just these little attention to details that make this remaster so fantastic. But Gar, one of my favorite reworks in this remastered Street Fighter 2 edition for the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis. It's not just characters and backgrounds that have had rework, UI elements as well. You can see the health bar here now has transparency in it. The KO is a lot closer to arcade, as well as the names underneath the bars here. They've all been improved, so UI has had a bit of a refresh, as well as the backgrounds and characters. How amazing does the remaster of Street Fighter look? Absolutely stunning. I just love the attention to detail, the amount of work that has gone into this remaster of Street Fighter 2. Now, there's a physical version of the game that you can buy. A lot of different people are grabbing the ROM and sticking these onto cartridges. I'll put a few of the places that I've found physical cartridges on. I've got one being delivered to me within the next month or so. Really looking forward to getting hold of that. And you can go and download the official ROM hack and apply this to a ROM if you've managed to get yourself a ROM or if you've downloaded it from your cartridge. Now, a word of warning, you will need the correct ROM to apply the patch to. Now, before we jump off and finish the video, this wouldn't be a Retro Gamer Boy Sega video unless we did a Super Nintendo comparison. So we're going to look at this remaster and see how it holds up against the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo, which has for the longest time been one of the best ports of Street Fighter 2 from arcade to console. So an awesome new mod for one of the most successful games on the Sega Mega Drive, Street Fighter 2. If you've enjoyed this show, if you love your retro gaming and it's your first time here, why not consider subscribing? You can do this by clicking on a little button that's just below this video here. We put out brand new episodes every single Monday, and so that you never miss one, you can also click on a little bell just below this video. Now, if you can't wait until Monday, if that's way too long for you, you can catch up with our huge back catalogue of retro gaming videos, 2 of which you can watch over here.